Heck, hey guys, this is Chapter 2 of Voltron, Defenders of Legend by Oh Shit, My Ship. And please leave a comment so we can discuss the fic and go to the original fan fiction to leave a kudos if you enjoy it. A year later, three entirely separate humans sat in their own ship, Kerberos in their sight. Their ship was shaking as they entered the atmosphere. Lance, can't you keep this thing straight for once? Hunk complained as he gripped the arms on his seat. Relax, I'm just getting a feel for it. Lance called back cheerfully. Besides, it's not like I did this. Lance steered the ship so it tilt to its left, or this. He tilted to the right. Lance, knock it off, Hunk cried. You know I get dizzy. Hey guys, we got a signal, Pidge pointed out, his curly head turning as he pointed to his comm screen. It's a call for help. Alright, approaching target, Lance said as he steered the ship down. Once he had it begin to shake. Lance, Hunk warned. Oh no, it's on you, buddy, Lance shot back. It looks like there's something wrong with the stabilizer. Aw, man, Hunk pulled his own screen closer to him and searching through it. He groaned heavily. I'm going to have to fix this manually. Try to keep it steady. Try to hurry up, Lance replied, as Hunk carefully undid his belt and slid to the floor, crawling over the machine to the machinery. Hey, Pidge, Lance called. Time to hail the signal. We're getting closer. Pidge nodded as he unbuckled his belt, standing up to reach the speaker. As he did, the ship shuddered heavily and Pidge was thrown from his seat, smacking his head on the ground. Pidge, what were you doing unbuckling? Lance cried. Get back to your seat before you get a concussion. I would have been fine if Hunks just fixed the stabilizer, Pidge complained as he returned to his seat, his head throbbing. I'm trying, Hunk yelled. I can't think right with all this shaking. I'm just trying not to throw up. We had beef stroganoff for lunch, Lance remembered with a groan. That's not going to be an easy cleanup. And I lost the signal, Pidge yelled. I'm not done with the stabilizer. Oh no, we're good, Lance told his team. I got a vigil on the vigil. Buckle up, everyone. We're approaching target. Hunk scurried back to his seat as he peered forward to see past Lance. Lance, watch the arch. Yeah, you're flying too low. Get up. Oh, Pidge, I'm the pilot here. Lance shot back as he steered it lower, and then he turned to smirked at his crewmates. At my first year in flight school, they called me the tailor because how I thread the needle. This never works, Hunks mumbled as he gripped his arms. Sure enough, as Lance went to fly through an arch of rocks, he miscalculated and hit the rock. Their ship heaved and Hunk slapped a hand over his mouth. We lost a wing, Page cried. Lance, you're an idiot. The screen of them flashed red as alarm bells rang, and Lance groaned as they approached impact. Oh man. The ship heaved one final time as they crashed into the surface of the moon, and the lights shut off. After a moment, they turned back at the door of the ship. Back of the ship was open. Front and center, cadets. Unhappily, the crew members unbuckled and made their way out and way out and onto the training deck, where the rest of their class waited and watched them line up in front of the director Iverson. A tall man with a tan skin and a harsh face and an eye patch scowled at them as they hung their heads, knowing they were about to be ripped a new one in front of their entire class. Well, cadets, that was an abysmal failure. But let's see what we can do to turn this into a lesson for the rest of the class. He turned to their peers. Can anyone tell me what they did wrong? The mechanic panicked. The ComTech left his sheet. The pilot took unnecessary risks. All correct, Iverson agreed. But can anyone tell me what their biggest issue was? After a moment of silence, he rounded back on the three in question. It was the fact they argued the entire damn time. Mistakes are going to be made, but it's the job of your crewmates make up for your mistakes. On a mission like this simulation, you're gonna be in a single craft for months, just the three of you, and you can't afford to argue. It's the mental mistakes like these that cost the lives of men on the Kerberos mission last year. That's not true, sir, Page suddenly yelled, his fist balling in his chute as he stepped forward. What was that? Iverson demanded, leaning down to get into Page's face. But before he can say anything, Lance lunged and clapped his hand over Page's face, trying for a winning smile. Sorry about that, Commander, Lance said with a laugh. I think he hit his head when he fell out of his seat. It won't be making that mistake again. Iverson grumbled and leaned down properly in Lance's face. Don't forget, Cadet, you got lucky, Iverson snarled. You're only a fighter pilot because the best pilot in the program had disciplinary issues and flunked out. You want to follow in his footsteps, McLean? No, sir. That's what I thought. You three are dismissed. Look at the next three in there. With a sigh, three of them went to the nearby lockers rooms to change out of their spacesuits and back into their cadets' uniforms. As per usual, Pidge grabbed his stuff and went to change the bathroom, leaving Hunk and Les to talk. Man, I'm tired of getting chewed by I am tired of getting chewed out by Iverson, Hunk said with a sigh. As he sat down to yank off his boots, I still can't believe you convinced me to move up to fighter class with you. I was perfectly happy being a cargo class mechanic. I don't have to worry about losing a wing when we try to land a rescue mission, or rescue missions. We never did those in cargo. That is exactly why fighter class is so much better, Lance argued, and besides, you're my best friend. I wouldn't dream of going anywhere without you. Which is a mistake. We both know I shouldn't be in fighter class. Hunk, Lance sighed as he clapped a hand on his friend's shoulder. You're literally the best mechanic ever. I don't know anyone else who can hotwire a speeder like you. I can't believe you talked me into that too, Hunk grumbled. I thought Keith was going to slit my throat, but he didn't, and he dropped out, and we got his spot. Right? Hunk sighed as he continued to change. And what's that? And that definitely doesn't bother you. Nope. Sure. Well, it doesn't matter unless we stop crashing every simulation. We're going to be bumped back down to cargo. Exactly why we three are going to the town. Hunk froze, his shirt halfway on. I'm sorry, what? Yes, you mean Pitts. I say we sneak out and head to some town to grab some McDee's. See if we can flirt with some cute girls. Lance winked at him. Lance, are you insane? Hunk cried. We could get suspended, or Iverson will be happy to get rid of us. Relax, Hunk laughed with a sigh, tossing a part of his suit at Hunk. They're not going to catch us. I got my speeder. Maybe they'll sneak out. No problem, and be back before they do bed checks. It's because it's officially the month. It is because it's officially a month today since Jenny Slater dumped you. That's a small part of it, but it is part of it. Irrelevant. Hey, Pidge. Lance waved as Pidge came out of the washroom adjusting his glasses. Hunk and I are going to head out to town tonight. You want to come do some team bonding? No, thanks. I, got some stuff I need to do tonight. Before Lance or Hunk could question him anymore, Pidge was gone and back to the rest of the class. That guy is pretty reclusive, Lance said as he put his shoes back. I never seen him outside of class, and he always eats alone. And even changes by himself. Well, I talked to his roommate, Narjuka. Oh yeah, the Indian guy? He's pretty cool. What did he say? Well, he says he thinks Piz might be transitioning. Hunk said like female to male sorts of things. Maybe he's just not comfortable changing with us. Okay, that's fair, but he still never talks to anyone. Not even to his roommate. So what? So it means he's part of our team, which means he has to take part in team bonding. You're insane, Lance grinned. That means you're in. Lights out. Everyone heads to your room. This is a bad idea, Hunk mumbled as Lance pressed his face to the door, searching through the peephole. No, it's not. This place is surprisingly easy to sneak in and out of. It's a government facility. Yeah, not as secure as my Mia's home. I can tell you that. Oh, look, they're starting room checks. Sure enough, a knock came to the door. Open up. Lance opened the door to see an officer holding a clipboard. She raised an eyebrow when she saw Lance in Hunk's civilian clothes. What are you wearing? Oh, this? Lance looked at himself and Hunk. Hunk was wearing a long-sleeve shirt under with black cargo pants and his usual green bandana around his neck. Lance meanwhile was in a blue turtleneck and jeans. We were getting a little homesick. Thought it might help if we put on our street clothes. Oh well. All right, the officer shook her head and marked their attendance down in their clipboard. Well, good night. Night, Lance replied carefully as he shut the door and waited until she went to the next room before pumping his fist. All right, phase 1 complete. Now let's go get paid. This sucks. Hunk mumbles as he grabbed at his green bomber jacket and Lance grabbed his old elevator covered in patches. They opened the door and peeked around the hallway, now dark, to make sure no one was around. Once they cleared the empty hallway, they began to creep in the direction of Pidge's room. We're going to get caught, Hunk grumbled as they quietly moved through the halls. We're going to get caught and we're going to get expelled. Hunk, relax. This is going to be fine. Here, hold up. They reached the instructor lounge and Lance crouched down by the large window looking out into the hallway. They crouched down, making sure no one had noticed them, and began to crawl underneath. I don't know how I let you talk me into these things, Hunk continued, but taking the scariest kid speeder for a joyride, moving up to Fighter class sneaking out. Shh, Lance hissed. Someone's coming. They quickly get in those bins. Quick, get in those bins. What? No. It's recycling day. They're going to be empty now. Come on. Lance and Hunk scrambled into a pair of nearby blue and yellow bins. Respectively, they waited until they heard the officer pass them before Lance leapt out. Coast is clear. We're almost at Pidge's room. Hunk pulled himself out of the bin, huffing and puffing. Hold up. They paused at a corner as they saw Pidge's door open. Then Pidge himself slipped out. He was wearing civilian clothes like them, a green hoodie with a pair of holographic alien head wearing black headphones, and some baggy ripped jeans. He also had a backpack, and he glanced both ways before running off. Now where he's off to, Lance wondered. Come on, let's follow. Alright, sure. Probably not gonna mean we're sneaking out of the base. So Lance and Hunk followed their third crew member at a distance all the way up to the roof, where he popped the door open and with a brick. Lance and Hunk waited a bit before they went up, finding Pidge sitting in front of a computer, headphones on. Carefully, they snuck up behind him. Smothering a laugh, Lance lifted one ear of the headphones, leaned into Pidge's ears. Come here to rock out? Wah! Pidge cried, dragging him back as Lance laughed. Hey, what is that stuff anyways? Doesn't look like Grayson Tech, Hunk asked as he drifted to the miniature satellite disk. Ah, no touching, Pidge commanded as slapping Hunk's hand away and taking off his headphones to hang around his neck. Are you alright? And you're right, it's not Grayson's tech. I made it. You made this, Hunk asked, sneaking closer. No way. He poked the laptop. Second warning, Hunk. Pidge slapped his hand again. And yep, I made it myself. This baby can scan all the way to the edge of the solar system to pick up radio waves. All the way to the edge of the solar system? Lance mused. Does that mean he can reach Kerberos too? Pidge suddenly smirked, shrunk in on himself as he doodled in his notebook. Come on. You know what? What's with you and Kerberos? Lance cried. You go nuts every time someone brings it up. Alright, fine. Pidge amended it with like the Kerberos mission wasn't caught by machine or pilot error. The entire thing has to be superstitious. Duh. Two of the greatest talents in techs over the garrison, and one of the best pilots suddenly die at a totally normal radio communication. Sus as hell. I did look into it, Hunk admitted. Apparently the log said they landed safely, but nothing aside from that. Exactly, Pidge said. So I've been scanning for waves, and I found... Hunk, stop touching my stuff! Hunk, who'd been inching closer to Pidge's computer, slumped over with a small groan. Pidge, what did you find? I've been picking up alien radio chatter. Pidge explained. Hold up, aliens? What makes you think it's aliens? Because the communication they're using is not in any language that exists on Earth. I tried running it through a few international translators early on, but nothing. I caught on. And I mean nothing, not even a couple of words. I've I tried a bunch of other stuff, but nothing seemed to catch, but I did recognize one word. Voltron. Pidge flipped around their notebook to show them a page of a tale of Scrabbles and the word Voltron written all over and over again. Voltron? Lance's uncle, what the hell does that mean? No clues. No clue. I have no clue, Pidge admitted with a sigh. They just keep saying it over and over again. And tonight is crazier than ever. It's going crazier than ever. Something big is happening, and it's happening soon. Before the others two could ask what happened, a Pidge alarm blared through the loudspeaker on the roof. Attendants, all staff and students, remain inside. This is not a joke. Code Beta Red. Beta Red? Lance asked, what's that? It means nothing good, I assume. It means incoming craft, Pidge said, scrambling for his adjustable binoculars. You mean that one? Hunk yelled at, pointing at a red dot in the sky, getting in the sky that's getting quite large very quickly. That one is of ours? Then snatched the binoculars from the face. He still clinged on to he protested, but Lance ignored them. Holy cow, Crow yelled as the electricity binoculars zoomed in. That does not look like one of ours. Most surely does not. It was a massive and looked like an escape pod, but it was all black and purple, the opposite of the garrison crafts. Wasn't long before the craft came into plain sight, falling through the sky in a blazing ball of fire. The three watched as the pod crossed some hills in the desert. In no time at all vehicles of short were rushing from the galaxy station to meet it. Come on, let's check it out, Lance declared, scrambling to get up. Come on, let's check it out, Lance declared, scrambling to get up. How are we going to get there, Lance? Pidge asked quickly, gathering his stuff. I have a speeder hidden nearby, Lance explained. Hunk and I built it when we first started here. Let's go. What? Hunk said, sitting up and looking at his team. You're not here then until everyone stay in their dorm. We're on lockdown, people. I don't know about you, but an alien spacecraft doesn't exactly scream safe. Nope. That looks exciting, Lance replied cheerfully as he tugged on Hunk's arm. Let's go, man. Where's your sense of adventure? It doesn't exist, Hunk protested, but he let Lance pulled him to his feet as the three of them made their way downstairs and outside to an outcrop of boulder. They climbed around, revealing a beat-up hover speeder given a rough blue paint job. I can tell you built this thing, Pidge muttered as they eyed up. Is it safe? It's totally fine, Lance assured. We didn't really have a lot to work with. It's funny how you keep on saying we, Hunk complained as he got on the passenger seat, when I was the one who did all the actual building. Hey, I got a bunch of the mechanics, Lance protested. Hey, let's go. Lance barely made sure everyone's on before turning his speeder and scooting off into the desert, followed by a glowing horizon where the ship had landed. By the looks of things, the garrison already set up a premiere there. Sure enough, when the three of them parked and found a spot on a hill overlooking it, there was already a tent erected around the crash site. The pod began to load onto a truck for inspection. Whoa, look at this stuff. What the heck even is that thing? Lance said once again with the binoculars to survey the scene. Pidge, can you look inside the tent? Surrounded by guards, Pidge said, typing on his keyboard. But I managed to get into the scaredy can's feet. Check it out. The three of them huddled around Pidge's laptop to see inside the tent. There was a medic table, two guys in hazmat suits, and on the table was Shiro. Lance asked. Pilot Shirogane, please calm down, one of the hazmats were saying. No, he yelled. He was bound to the table and he was wearing a full-length black bodysuit was a ripped purple shirt. No, you have to listen to me. They're coming. And they're looking for it. They're looking for Voltron. There it is again, Pidge said. But what does Shiro have to do with Voltron? And where's the rest of the crew? Sure, look at his arms. It seems to be replaced with a cybernetic prosthetic. Listen to me, Shiro cried, struggling against the straps of the table. They're coming. When they get here, it'll be nothing but destruction. We can't let them get Voltron. Let's put him under further examination. No. Do not put me under, don't. Are they serious? Lance cried, gesturing at the camera. That Takashi Shirogane. The dude's a listen, one of the guys on the Kerberos mission. Why aren't they listening to him? Or asking about the rest of the crew. Pidge asked, looking worried. If Shiro made it back, then they could be close behind. They're focusing on the arm-hungry lights. They just want to look at the tech. We have to get him out of there, Lance declared as he stood up, but Hunk immediately pulled him down. Are you crazy? You couldn't get in there because it was surrounded by guards. Hunk's right, Pidge said. We need a plan. Maybe if we manage to grab some hazmat suits and sneak in. Or, Hunk suggested, we head back to base, steal some Chef Universe, get into the commissary and get ourselves a midnight snack. No, Hunk, we gotta help him, Lance said, covering his mouth with the thought. We just need distraction. Suddenly, there was a series of small explosions not far from the tent. The three boys yelped and jumped back, watching in shock as the cars secretly quickly left to check it out. What the heck was that? Lance cried. A distraction, Pidge yelled, grabbing the binoculars and looking towards the east for him. Lance grabbed the binoculars. Stop doing that. I can't believe this. Lance zoomed in. He's always trying to one up me. Wait, that's actually him? Yep, I know that mullet anywhere. Lance tossed the binoculars back to Pidge and began to slide down the rocky hill. Is that really Keith? Hunk rushed after him. Who's Keith? Pidge cried, hurrying to pack his things. Keith made quick work of the guards at the door. When he went into the main part of the tent, his lower half covered by bandana, he caught the attention of two guys in hazmats. What? But they didn't get a chance to ask anything because Keith landed a kick in the side of their head, then punched the other one, knocking them both out. He hurried to the medical table and gently turned the patient's head. Shocked to see who it was. Shiro, Keith whispered, pulling down his mask. He shook his head and took out his knife, hacking through the straps in a single motion. As he lifted him up, he heard a familiar voice. Nope. You're not going to take this. I am going to rescue Shiro. Keith looked up to see a familiar guy staring at him with two more people behind him. Keith was about to fight, but then the boy went to Shiro's other side and helped lift him up. Who are you? Keith asked. Come on, you don't remember? Lance cried. We were in flight school together, and we were rivals. Come on. The name's Lance, like you know Lance and Keith neck and neck? Right. Doesn't ring a bell, sorry. Alright, well, whatever. Let's just say get this guy out of here. Here I have a speeder up the hill. No time, Keith said as he and Lance made for the door. They'll be back any minute and we need to leave now. We'll come back for it later, Pidge asserted as they hurried to the nearby border where Keith had hidden this speeder. Whoa, pace of amazement at the modern red model. Now this is a speeder. Shut up and help us, Lance said as he helped Keith load Shiro onto the speeder. It was smaller than his, but it was faster. But are you sure this can hold all of us? Hunk asked as he hopped onto the tail end in front like a teeter-tot until it bounced. Nope. No, Keith replied flatly. Just then they saw lights approaching from the north. We got company. You hold on to him. Wait, why am I holding on to this guy? Pidge cried as they shoved Shiro into his lap. Don't complain, let's move. Keith sat in the main seat while Lance hung off the side right behind Keith, with Pidge strapped behind him holding on to Shiro and Hunk gripping on the tails ends of the speeder right in front of the two hover reels. Hey, Hunk cried cheerfully. We did all fit. Hey, Mullet. Lance cried as he looked back. We got tails, 3 of them. Great. Keith grumbled and looked back at Hunk. Big guy, move left. Hunk lifted in the speeder crane left, avoiding the large border. Now they're in the end of the piercing of the ledge below. Lean right. Hunk obeyed again, and they flew off the edge again, landing on the ledge below and continue off. But one of the cars stopped and slammed into the others. No way, Hunk yelled, looking back at Mr. My handmade guy Montgomery just slammed into Sir Lance's. Oh, they're good. We're good. Oh, they're good. We're good. Keith, pay attention, Pidge cried. Is that cliff up ahead? Sure enough, there is a sheer drop right in front of them. No, Lance yelled as Hunk and Page parroted him. Yep, Keith said with a smirk, just lean over the handlebars and reversed the engine, soaring off the cliff while his passengers screamed. He adjusted for a new weight and landed bumpily, but they landed. A scene a ribbon later, they were once again speeding off into the desert as the cruisers left behind them. It was a cry for rest of the ride as they were all wondering where they were going to go. Keith began to slow down as they see a shock in the distance. And Keith actually parked his speeder there. All right, he said. Everyone off. Little guy, hand Shiro to me. I'm Pidge, he said immediately as he handed Shiro off to Keith. Right. Is this place safe? Hunk asked, glancing around them nervously. They won't, track us down here? No, it's fine, Keith asserted as he dragged Shiro inside, knocking the door down. No one knows this out here except for Adam. Do you mean Professor Adam D'Angelo? Lance asked. Shiro's husband. Yeah, but he hasn't been out here in ages. Shut the door, would you? They did, and the 3 outsiders looked at the shack. It was small, clearly meant for only 1 person, maybe 2. It had a pull-out couch, an oven, stove, a table, single light hanging from the ceiling, and a bathroom. There was also a bird covered with a sheet. Lance, open up the bed so I can put Shiro on it. Don't tell me what to do. Nonetheless, Lance opened up the Futon couch and Keith gently laid Shiro down on it. The rest of the group was able better to Keith now that they weren't being chased by their teachers. He had black ripped jeans, a red biker jacket, and fingerless gloves, and his ever-persistent mullet. Saw it now. Paige asked. We wait for him to wake up, Keith said, leaning against the wall. Yeah, this isn't going to happen anytime soon, Hunk said, looking over at Shiro. Kids hacked into the camps, and we saw them put Shiro under. If he didn't wake up during that chase, he's not going to wake up for another few hours. Well, in the meantime, I'm going to go and get my speeder, Lance said, making for the door. Lance, how are you going to get there? Paige asked. Easy, I'll just take Keith's speeder and come with me. Let's go. No. No. He said straight up. You're not taking my ride. Why not? It's not like I ever driven before. The last part was because Keith has thrown his knife into the door near Lance. He started and jumped back with a scare. What the heck, man? I remember you now, Keith said, morsing at Lance. You and the big guy hotwired my speeder and took it for a joyride. I still haven't gotten all the dents out of it. Chill, man. It's just a prank. There's no need to throw knives at me. A prank? You stole my speeder and almost crashed it. And why? Because I got in a fighter class and you didn't? Actually? Hunk and I are fighters now, thanks to you dropping out, Lance snapped back. And we did it because it was your fault we failed the simulation. We're doing just fine until you cut us off and send us spiraling. You couldn't recover from a simple trick like that, then you don't deserve to be in a fighter. Says the dropout. Okay, guys. Hunk interjecting, kind of stand between Lance and Keith while Paige watched in fascination. Keith, I'm sorry we stole your speeder and damaged it. That's what I mean. But it was also kind of a dick move you pulled, especially since it was the exam. Can we all agree on that? Fine. Keith and Lance stared each other down before Keith sighed. Fine, let's go get your junk yard rod. It's self-made! Lance corrected immediately as Keith pried his knife at the wall. And I'm going with Hunk. No, you're not. I don't trust either of you with my ride. And someone had to stay with Sarah. Paige is here. Keith turned and looked at the boy up and down before shaking his head. No defense, but I don't trust you alone. Paige shrugged. That's fair. So Hunk and Paige stay here while you and I go get your speeder. Fine. Lance threw up his hands, but I want my ride back. I just want my ride back. So Keith and Lance went out to get his speeder. Keith sat in his regular seat while Lance sat behind him, bracing himself on the wings of the speeder. The ride was quiet, particularly because it would have been hard to hear each other over them, but mostly because the boys didn't like each other at all that much. Here, Keith said quietly parking his speeder behind the large rock near the camp, which was still set up. I can't get any closer and hurry up. I don't want to have to run from them again. I'll be fine, Lance hissed. They ran after where he had his speeder. While he was gone, Keith pulled out his phone and stared at the contact he put up. Unwilling to call, but he sighed. Knowing it was for the best. After the second ring, he picked up. Keith sighed and leaned on his handlebar, speaking quietly. Yeah, Adam, it's mean. Where the hell explosions are you? Adam demanded, and Keith could hear the background chatter. There was a break-in at the camp. They said they were it looked like you. What were you doing? Well, did they tell you that Shiro was inside the aircraft? Wait, what? No, wait, what? Are you sure it was Shiro? I'm positive I got him out, but they put him under. He's asleep at the shack now along with a bunch of other Garrison students. Keith, can't get away right now. Everyone is going insane trying to figure out what happened. I doubt they even noticed the students were gone. Do you know what happened? No, like I said, got there when he was already out. I can see what the others know. They said they hacked into the cams. They might have heard something. I gotta go. We have to head back to the shack. Alright, please keep in touch. I know there's something we both struggle with after. I'll keep you updated, Keith replied curtly. Just thought I'd call and let you know Cher's alive. As Lance Speeder came to in view, Keith hung up. Who you talking to? Lance asked as he pulled up. No one. Let's get back before the others notice. Whatever, Lance said. Both he and Keith reviewing their engines and zooming back to the shack. They might have been crushed on where everyone is sleeping, but no one could find themselves to be tired. Lance went to work on his speeder uselessly. Pidge was using his scanner. Hunk was looking through Pidge's stuff while he wasn't looking. Cheryl slept, and Keith sat on the roof, watching the desert very slowly come to life throughout the night. Right around dawn, Cheryl startled Hunk and Paige by sitting bolt up and yelling, "They're coming! We have to stop them!" Both Hunk and Paige yelled in shock, drawing the attention of the other two. They rushed inside to find Cheryl clutching his head, breathing heavily. "Shiro!" Keith cried, shoving Paige to kneel by the bed. Shiro looked at him with wide eyes. "Keith, what happened?" "You crash landed," Keith explained. "The Garrison intercepted the crash site and put you under. I bet I got you out." Lance groaned quietly. "Out," Keith suddenly commanded. "All of you get out." "What? Why?" Lance demanded. "Let's just give them some space," Hunk said, gently tugging Lance's arm. "We'll come back in when they're ready." "Alright, fine," Lance hugged away as the three of them left the building. "Here," Keith said, grabbing some photo clothes. "These are my dad's old clothes, but they should fit. Thanks." Shiro took off the rather purple Sherpa kept on the bodysuit. Keith turned away, though he did not miss Shiro's cybernetic arm. "So," Keith asked, "what happened?" "Honestly, I don't know," Shiro said with a sigh as he continued to get dressed. "My brain is pretty scrambled." "Scrambled?" "No, I mean a lot happened. I don't really remember like any of it. If I had to guess, I would say I'm probably repressing my memories, which is not a great sign. How's Adam? How's Adam?" "He's good. Well, he's okay, all things considered. I called him, and he's glad to hear you're alive." "Oh, it's glad to hear that. I would hope that he'd be happy. I didn't marry him." Keith and Shiro laughed, though a bit awkwardly. "How did you find me?" "Complicated. Bring the others back in." Keith opened the door. The other three filtered in, standing and looking at Shiro awkwardly. "Are we getting an explanation now?" Lance asked. Keith just glared at him a moment before turning to the board and ripping the sheet off, revealing pictures, drawings, maps, and other things. "After your disappearance," Keith began, looking intently at the board, "I was lost. I found myself back at here, and as I kinda wander around, I could feel some sort of force calling to me. I followed the feeling to this area where he tapped a part of the map nearby, and I found a bunch of caves filled with these drawings. These caverns, they all share the same story about a blue line, although the details tend to vary from a gift from the gods to futuristic alien technology. But all the stories share clues leading to some event, some arrival in this section of the desert. Keith moved his hand to a part where Shiro had been found, then turned to the man. I prepared for it, but I didn't think it would be you. It was nice to know my crash landing was foretold by ancient carvings, Shiro said with a sigh. Then he turned to the 3 students by the couch. I guess I should thank all of you for helping to rescue me. He stuck out his hand to Lance's face and smiled. I'm Shiro. Lance glanced down at the cybernetic arm that was extended to him. After a moment of hesitation, he smiled and took it. I'm Lance. Lance turned to Hunk, who looked rather busy having an existential crisis as he looked at the board. Pidge, adjusting his glasses with a sigh before taking Shiro's hand. The nervous one is Hunk, and I'm Pidge. So, do you remember anything, maybe about your other crew members? Shiro withdrew his hand and sighed. No, I'm sorry. Everything is so muddled and confusing. I do remember one thing, though. Voltron. They kept talking about it. I think it's some kind of super weapon. There's that word again, Hunk suddenly cried, turning around and pulling a notebook from one of his pockets on his belt. Volt, when I was digging around Pidge's stuff last night and looked, I found a picture of him and his girlfriend. Hunk held a picture of Pidge in a garrison uniform and a girl in a purple dress with long ginger hair like his. Hey! Pidge cried with a blush, snatching the picture from him. Hunk offered and snatching the picture from Hunk's hand as he stuffed it back into his backpack. I was also looking through his diary. What? And I noticed his recordings look a lot like a Fawnhorn line. A fawn what? Keith, that's a Fawnhorn line. Hunk explained. It's a sequence of numbers that represent an element emission substance, but I checked on this Fawnhorn line doesn't match any elements known on Earth. So I thought maybe it was Voltron. I could probably track it. I can probably make a tracker of sort like a Voltron. Didn't you count it? Hunk, that's genius. Lance praised. It could very well be Voltron, Shiro mused, since we are dealing with extraterrestrial technology. It's all really fascinating, honestly, Hunk admitted, pulling out a folded piece of paper and holding it up to the group. See, I did a rough draft of what the wavelengths look like of this Voltron, and it's cool. Give me that. Hunk snapped the paper from Hunk's hand before he could protest, and he held it to the picture of a nearby rock formation, and the two outlines look eerily familiar. The resemblance is more uncanny, even more uncanny when they were there in person and stood at the spot where Keith had taken the picture. Sure enough, the wavelengths match up almost perfectly with Hunk's graph. Okay, Lance admitted as he rubbed the back of his neck. This is getting freaky in not the fun way. Does any of us feel like we're being pulled by a magnet? It's in that direction. Hunk asked, pointing. Is it in that direction? Hunk asked, pointing his little machine towards the arc that led into an alley between formations. Because I'm getting the reading. Carefully, the five of they picked their ways over the rocks in that direction. Hunk led them in, Pidge following him, holding a small satellite dish. Lance followed, but he kept glancing over his shoulder. What? Keith finally determined after Lance glanced around him for the millionth time. Nothing, it just feels like I'm being watched. So if you could keep your eyes off of me for once, that would be great. You're delusional. Then Keith said as he crossed his arms and looked the rocks high above them. This place is pretty weird. I feel like I felt like that before. Great, we're both going the same. Guys, it's coming from here. Hunk gestured to one of the caves nearby, and his machine was beeping like crazy. They followed him. Sure enough, the entire cave was filled with all sorts of carvings. Most prominent, a giant lion. They are everywhere, Shiro said. They all look at different parts of the wall. It took me a while to try to decipher them, Keith said. But about here is where they start showing a rival, and that was the star map from last night. Lance walked through the cave and he gently ran his hand along the carving of a line. As he touched it, the cave began to glow blue, spreading to all the drawings in the cave. Whoa, Lance yelped. They'd never done that before, Keith said, his hands reaching for his knife. Everyone stay here, Shiro told them. Keep a lookout. Ah. Everyone suddenly yelled as the floor below them collapsed, and they found themselves sliding on a shallow underground river. As they all yelled, almost entirely blind and having no idea where they're going. Unable to stop or even slow down, quickly the water deposited them off a small waterfall into a pool. They quickly paddled to shore, trying to catch their breath. Is everyone okay? Huff, okay? Shiro asked. Yeah, I think so, Hunk said. He sat up, then looked at and saw Lance standing on the edge of the water. Lance? What? Oh my god. There are everywhere. Lance muttered. In front of them was a massive blue lion, and it looked like a machine, like an automatic lion the size of, well, hard to compare it to. Thing was huge, towering over them, paws of the feet so tall as Shiro, and with no doubt, if it was living creature, it could swallow them like a piece of kibble. This must be it, Pidge said. This must be Voltron. No wonder they want to get their hands on it, Shiro said. The thing is massive. Who knows what it can do? Look like there's some sort of force field around it, though, Hunk noted, obviously talking about the see-through blue bubble around it. Let's see if we can't do something about it, Keith said, decided as he started to walk towards it. The others followed, and Lance walked from side to side, frowning. Does anyone else majority creeped out? Lance asked them. I feel like it's staring at me. Nope, Pidge replied. I don't think any of us feel like that, Keith replied curtly. Well, its eyes are definitely following me. They all reach the force field and Keith immediately places his hands on it, rippling, extending where he touched it. How do we get past it? Keith wondered. Maybe we just have to knock? Lance suggested, and he rapped his knuckles on the forced field tie 3 times, a sound like tapping plexi ramp searched through the cavern. Amazingly, the force field began to disintegrate in a pretty blue light, and the robot's yellow eyes flashed, and suddenly they all had a vivid vision. There was a blue line flying through the sky, shooting, which joined by 4 other massive lines: red, yellow, green, and black. The 4 of them converged and were hidden by a bright flash of light. Where the light subsided, there stood a man-like robot, the lines making up its body and limbs as it pulled a flaming sword. The vision disappeared, and the 5 of them were in awe. Guys, Hunk said, gradually coming down to earth. Voltron is a robot, Voltron is a huge, awesome robot. And this is only one part of it, Pidge agreed, matching Hunk's excited tone. This is literally just the limb of the whole that is the Voltron. It's insane, Keith mused. I never thought that something like this would be hidden out here. But this means that Voltron can be even more dangerous than we thought, Shira said, a bit worried. I thought it was just one robot, but if it's 5 of them that combines into one super weapon, this was even worse. We can't let them get this. What are we supposed to do? Pidge asked. It stays hidden for this long. Maybe we just leave it, Hunk suggested. No, we found it pretty easy once we figure out what we need to look for, Keith argued. These aliens must already know what the thing is, probably know how to find it. Maybe if we figure it out, how to reactivate the force field. While they're talking, Lance was just not paying attention. Ever since the vision, Lance had a strange, fuzzy energy within him. He suddenly urged to fly and stretch his limbs, as if he hadn't moved in 1,000 years. But he was frozen in place, his eyes locked on his yellow eyes of the blue line. They need to leave this place. Okay, Lance thought in response to suddenly need to leave. Let's get out of here and bring you with us. The lion will take them away. Soon an idea in his head, the massive lion suddenly began to move, causing all the compactives to cease. Lion stood, and the cave began to shake. Everyone's shouted and tried to find their footing, except for Lance, who was memorized by the movement of the lion. It felt how it knelt down before them and opened its mouth. Its chin opened into a ramp lit of blue and leading presumably to the cockpit. Lance glanced at the 4 others around him and saw them staring in awe. He looked back at the lion and felt nothing but an open invitation. He couldn't help but chuckle to himself before he began to move his way up the ramp. It turned into 2 silvery doors lid opened in front of him, revealing a cockpit. There were one seat that looked like a gamer's chair, with two handlebars right at the front. Lance took a seat. Once he began to lean back, the chair spun forward, and the cockpit lit up blue. There were pedestals where he could rest his feet, and a bunch of blue holoscreens flickered to light. The black rolls in front of him switched the view of the cave which they sat. The others stood behind them as they felt in awe at the surrounding around them. Okay, Lance said, putting his hand back of Lance's chair. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. I just want everyone to understand that we are in a giant alien free-striker cat and head right now. This is insane, Paige mused as he leaned forward to inspect the screen. I never seen tech quite like this. I mean, it's alien tech, Keith said. Lance was just about to tell Keith to stuff it when he suddenly heard a deep purring in his head. Whoa, guys, did you hear that? Hear what? Sure asked. Is this ship haunted? Hunk cried. The noise returned, and Lance, for a brief moment, felt the world has fallen away and it was just a haze of blue. There it is again, he yelled when the noise stopped. I think it's talking to me? Hold on, He leaned forward and looked at the controls. They didn't have any labels or anything, but he trusted his gut as he pressed a couple of buttons, and once he had, the lion stood up and roared, startling everyone in the cockpit. Okay, now I get it. Now let's try this. Lance grabbed the handles and thrust them forward. With a grin, immediately the island burst through the cave, exploding out of the rock formation and bounding into the expanse of the desert. It spun and flew through the air, and as they approached the ground, it steadied as its legs as jets shot out of the feet, propping it above the ground. It blasted off again, while the four standing people in the cockpit clung to the chair and Lance to each other as they turned up in a loop. The yelling even got louder. You are the worst pilot ever, Keith yelled as they twirled in the air. The thrusters activate at the side of the lion, giving them even more power. The crew kept screaming, and even Lance had a hard time holding on. Meanwhile, back at the Grayson, which was still on lockdown, Iverson and other officers stood on the roof, watching as the ship playing in the air. What the hell is that? Iverson growled. I believe it's a giant blue lion, sure. I can see that, but it doesn't look Earth-made, he scowled. Are they early? The blue eye lion slammed into the ground and started running across the desert, and Lance couldn't help but grin. This is awesome. Make it stop, Hunk yelled, squeezing his eyes shut. Please make it stop. I'm not making it do anything, Lance replied. It's like this thing is piloting itself. We'll take back controls, Shiro commanded. That's the thing. I'm in control. It's like me and the machine are just in sync. Just then the thrusters engaged again and it took off, rocketing through the sky. Where are you going? Keith demanded. I just said that it's an autopilot, Lance shot back, and it says that there's an alien ship approaching Earth and we have to propose to stop it. What did it say exactly? Should have prompted. Well, it wasn't words, more like putting thoughts into my head. Kinda. I don't know. Wait. The aliens are looking for this thing, right? Hunk said. Maybe we should just hand it over. That way they can have what they want and just leave it. Nothing personal, giant blue line. Shiro? No, Shiro said firmly. You don't understand. These beings are a plague. They spread across the galaxy and bring nothing but death and destruction. It's impossible to bargain or reason with these monsters. They won't stop until everything is destroyed and they have the planet under their rule. Everyone turned to look at Hunk. Well, I did not know that. Guess we won't hand it over. But at this point, they're out of the atmosphere and in Earth orbit, not too much further than the moon. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a massive purple and black ship appeared facing Earth. Everyone gasped as Lance steered around it, watching from a distance. Holy shit, Pidge yelled. Is that really an alien ship? Keith said, Oh my god, it's massive, Hunk whimpered. They found me, Shiro muttered, his eyes widening as his heart hammered in his ears as the purple glow took his vision. They found me. The ship seemed to have noticed them because it suddenly started to blast rays of purple light. No doubt some kind of destructive laser. Lance moved the line out of the way, gripping the handles harder. Everyone hold on. I need to get this thing out of here. Lance continued to dodge and weave between the beams of the light. While everyone yelled except for Lance, everyone was focused on holding on and not throwing up in, desperately hoping that they won't die. Okay, I think I know what I need to do, Lance told them, leaning forward as he tried to focus. Be careful, man, Page warned. This isn't just a simulator. Oh, well, that's good, Lance replied with a laugh. I always crash the simulators. Then he pulled up so that he was facing the side of the ship. Then he thrust the left handle forward. As he did, a beam of blue light exploded from the line's mouth, racking across the ship, leaving a hazard of fiery explosions in its wake. Alright, let's try this. He steered the line right alongside the ship and landed on it, ranking his claws alongside the length of the ship, creating further distraction. He pulled away before they could land a good hit on him. That was awesome, Hunk whooped. Good job, Lance. Shiro managed, trying to stay composed. Now let's try to lead this thing away from Earth. On it. The line swept across. After a moment, a giant ship began to follow them. They're following us, Hunk warned. Good, Keith said, looking at the holoscope in the corner of that displays the ship behind them. We want them to get away from Earth. It's weird, though, Lance said. They're just falling. They're not shooting at us or anything. Shouldn't they be? Oh, so we're okay with imperialist aliens chasing us now, Hunk said. Got it, guys. I gotta say, guys, I do not like this new direction. Where are we anyways? Pidge asked. The edge of the solar system, Shiro said, pointing at the rocks passing by them. That's Koboros. What? It takes months for our ships to get out here, Pidge cried. We made it like 10 seconds. 10 seconds. As they passed by the last of Pluto's moons, a black hole opened up in front of them. Well, they thought it was a black hole at first because of the stars behind it were gone, replaced with a swirling nebulous. But along the edge were a giant blue halo with circles moving around it. It looked like magic, and the group was sure that they were hallucinating. Okay, Lance said wearily. This is sound crazy, but the line wants us to go through the wormhole. Where does it go? Hunk asked. I don't know, glancing at Shiro. Shiro, sir, you're the highest ranking, and you got experience with this. Well, more than us. What should we do? All eyes turned to Shiro, and he suddenly felt the weight of a mission on his shoulders, except this time everyone around him were children. He took a deep breath and tried to sound confident. Whatever's happening, the lions know more than we do. If they're telling us to go through the wormhole, then I think it's doing it for a good reason, and I say we should trust it. But we're all in this together. That makes us a team now, and we should all decide. Everyone looked around at each other slowly, and each nodded their assistant in turn. Pidge and Hunk both put their hands on Lance's shoulders, and he forced a smile. All right, looks like we're all ditching class tomorrow. Then Lance guided them through the wormhole, and they were enveloped by white nothingness. And that's a wrap for Chapter 2 of Voltron Defenders of Legend by Oh Shit My Ship on AO3. As I said before, please go to AO3 to check out the fanfic and to leave them a kudos or comment. Anyway, bye for now.